Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang di Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi. Perkenalkan, saya Muhammad Binawan, selaku Dekan FST. Visi dari fakultas kita adalah menjadikan fakultas yang mampu mengelola, menyediakan, mengembangkan disiplin ilmu sains dan teknologi pada tahun 2025. Misi kita adalah melaksanakan proses belajar mengajar yang bermutu untuk menghasilkan sarjana sains dan teknik. Yang kedua adalah melaksanakan penelitian yang aplikatif di bidang sains dan teknologi. Yang ketiga adalah melaksanakan pengabdian masyarakat sesuai dengan ilmu terapan yang ada di masyarakat. Yang keempat adalah melaksanakan tata kelola dari dosen, tendik, staf, dan seluruh sivitas di FST. Melaksanakan kerjasama baik itu organisasi, swasta, kemudian negeri dan luar negeri, baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri. Fakultas kita memiliki 4 program studi. Yang pertama adalah program studi teknologi laboratorium medis, yang kedua adalah sarjana farmasi, yang ketiga adalah sarjana aktuaria, dan yang keempat adalah sarjana teknik lingkungan.
Selamat datang di program studi Teknik Lingkungan. Teknik Lingkungan merupakan program studi dengan jenjang pendidikan sarjana. Kami memiliki visi menjadi lembaga pendidikan tinggi yang mengkaji ilmu teknik lingkungan berbasis pengolahan limbah menjadi energi atau waste to energy dan sanitasi lingkungan berkelanjutan yang berdaya saing internasional pada tahun 2025. Program studi teknik lingkungan memiliki penciri waste to energy dan sanitasi berkelanjutan yang membuat prodi teknik lingkungan Binawan berbeda dengan lainnya. Dengan kurikulum yang telah dikembangkan, prodi teknik lingkungan Binawan akan mencetak generasi yang berpikir kritis dan bertindak aktif untuk dapat menjadi lulusan yang handal sebagai seorang perencana, perekayasa, pengkaji, dan penerap ilmu teknik lingkungan yang berjiwa teknopreneur. Dengan kerjasama dengan berbagai stakeholder, baik di dalam dan di luar negeri, lulusan teknik lingkungan Binawan dapat bekerja di berbagai sektor. Untuk menunjang pencapaian visi dan misi, mahasiswa teknik lingkungan juga disupport dengan ekstrakurikuler bahasa asing. Melalui penguasaan bahasa asing, diharapkan lulusan teknik lingkungan Binawan dapat menguasai bahasa asing untuk mencapai visi misi program studi maupun Universitas Binawan, yaitu berdaya saing internasional. Program studi teknik lingkungan dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas penunjang, antara lain laboratorium bioscience, laboratorium lingkungan, laboratorium mikrobiologi, laboratorium komputer, perpustakaan, ruang kelas, ruang dosen, dan nurse cafe. Ayo kuliah di Prodi Teknik Lingkungan Binawan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang di Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi. Perkenalkan, saya Muhammad Rizky Kurniawan, selaku Dekan FST. Visi dari fakultas kita adalah menjadikan fakultas yang mampu mengelola, menyinergikan, mengembangkan disiplin ilmu sains dan teknologi pada tahun 2025. Misi kita adalah melaksanakan proses belajar mengajar yang bermutu untuk menghasilkan sarjana sains dan teknik. Yang kedua adalah melaksanakan penelitian yang aplikatif di bidang sains dan teknologi. Yang ketiga adalah melaksanakan pengabdian masyarakat sesuai dengan ilmu terapan yang ada di masyarakat. Yang keempat adalah melaksanakan tata kelola dari dosen, tendik, staf, dan seluruh sivitas di FST. Melaksanakan kerjasama, baik itu organisasi, swasta, kemudian negeri, dan luar negeri, baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri. Fakultas kita memiliki 4 program studi. Yang pertama adalah program studi teknologi laboratorium medis, yang kedua adalah sarjana farmasi, yang ketiga adalah sarjana aktuaria, dan yang keempat adalah sarjana teknik lingkungan.
Selamat datang di program studi Teknik Lingkungan. Teknik Lingkungan merupakan program studi dengan jenjang pendidikan sarjana. Kami memiliki visi menjadi lembaga pendidikan tinggi yang mengkaji ilmu teknik lingkungan berbasis pengolahan limbah menjadi energi atau waste to energy dan sanitasi lingkungan berkelanjutan yang berdaya saing internasional pada tahun 2025. Program studi teknik lingkungan memiliki penciri waste to energy dan sanitasi berkelanjutan yang membuat prodi teknik lingkungan Binawan berbeda dengan lainnya. Dengan kurikulum yang telah dikembangkan, prodi teknik lingkungan Binawan akan mencetak generasi yang berpikir kritis dan bertindak aktif untuk dapat menjadi lulusan yang handal sebagai seorang perencana, perekayasa, pengkaji, dan penerap ilmu teknik lingkungan yang berjiwa teknopreneur. Dengan kerjasama dengan berbagai stakeholder, baik di dalam dan di luar negeri, lulusan teknik lingkungan Binawan dapat bekerja di berbagai sektor. Untuk menunjang pencapaian visi dan misi, mahasiswa teknik lingkungan juga disupport dengan ekstrakurikuler bahasa asing. Melalui penguasaan bahasa asing, diharapkan lulusan teknik lingkungan Binawan dapat menguasai bahasa asing untuk mencapai visi misi program studi maupun Universitas Binawan, yaitu berdaya saing internasional. Program studi teknik lingkungan dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas penunjang, antara lain Laboratorium Bioscience, Laboratorium Lingkungan, Laboratorium Mikrobiologi, Laboratorium Komputer, Perpustakaan, Ruang kelas, Ruang dosen, dan Nurse Cafe. Ayo kuliah di Prodi Teknik Lingkungan Binawan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang di Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi. Perkenalkan, saya Muhammad Binawan selaku Dekan FST. Visi dari fakultas kita adalah menjadikan fakultas yang mampu mengelola, menyinergikan, mengembangkan disiplin ilmu sains dan teknologi pada tahun 2025. Misi kita adalah melaksanakan proses belajar mengajar yang bermutu untuk menghasilkan sarjana sains dan teknik. Yang kedua adalah melaksanakan penelitian yang aplikatif di bidang sains dan teknologi. Yang ketiga adalah melaksanakan pengabdian masyarakat sesuai dengan ilmu terapan yang ada di masyarakat. Yang keempat adalah melaksanakan tata kelola dari dosen, tendik, staf, dan seluruh sivitas di FST. Melaksanakan kerjasama, baik itu organisasi, swasta, kemudian negeri, dan luar negeri, baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri. Fakultas kita memiliki 4 program studi. Yang pertama adalah program studi teknologi laboratorium medis, yang kedua adalah sarjana farmasi, yang ketiga adalah sarjana aktuaria, dan yang keempat adalah sarjana teknik lingkungan.
Selamat datang di program studi Teknik Lingkungan. Teknik Lingkungan merupakan program studi dengan jenjang pendidikan sarjana. Kami memiliki visi menjadi lembaga pendidikan tinggi yang mengkaji ilmu teknik lingkungan berbasis pengolahan limbah menjadi energi atau waste to energy dan sanitasi lingkungan berkelanjutan yang berdaya saing internasional pada tahun 2025. Program studi teknik lingkungan memiliki penciri waste to energy dan sanitasi berkelanjutan yang membuat prodi teknik lingkungan Binawan berbeda dengan lainnya. Dengan kurikulum yang telah dikembangkan, prodi teknik lingkungan Binawan akan mencetak generasi yang berpikir kritis dan bertindak aktif untuk dapat menjadi lulusan yang handal sebagai seorang perencana, perekayasa, pengkaji, dan penerap ilmu teknik lingkungan yang berjiwa teknopreneur. Dengan kerjasama dengan berbagai stakeholder, baik di dalam dan di luar negeri, lulusan teknik lingkungan Binawan dapat bekerja di berbagai sektor. Untuk menunjang pencapaian visi dan misi, mahasiswa teknik lingkungan juga disupport dengan ekstrakurikuler bahasa asing. Melalui penguasaan bahasa asing, diharapkan lulusan teknik lingkungan Binawan dapat menguasai bahasa asing untuk mencapai visi misi program studi maupun Universitas Binawan, yaitu berdaya saing internasional. Program studi teknik lingkungan dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas.
Good afternoon, selamat siang kepada seluruh peserta. This event will be conducted in English, and let me say welcome to Environmental Engineering Goes Around the World Part 1. Dengan judul with title Environmental Sanitation, Why Does It Matter? Welcome. Next. In this webinar, we are going to have two of our main speakers, namely Pak Foort Bustraan and Ibu Nadia Paramita. Moreover, we are going to have an opening speech from our Chancellor and keynote speech from Binawan University Chancellor, Dr.Ir.Illah Sailah MS. And I will be your moderator, and my name is Hanna Nabila. Thank you for coming. Next. Okay, we also would like to let you know that Binawan University is currently open its student admission for new students who would like to join us and take part in our university. Kami juga sedang membuka penerimaan mahasiswa baru di Universitas Binawan untuk pendaftaran program studi S1 Teknik Lingkungan, di mana teman-teman bisa cek informasi lebih lanjutnya melalui website pmb.binawan.ac.id atau menghubungi hotline di nomor 0816-862-122. Sekali lagi di website pmb.binawan.ac.id dan di nomor telepon 0816-862-122. Next. Okay, so this is the rundown of our today's event. First, we're going to have the opening, followed by the Chancellor opening speech, and officially to start the event, And we are going to continue with our first presentation by our first speaker, Ibu Nadia Paramita. And then with Pak Foort Bustraan as our second presenter, we are going to have discussion session. And most importantly, don't go anywhere. Stay in our webinar because we are going to have a door prize announcement for those of you who gave a very good questions chosen by our speakers. And last but not least, we are going to give certificates to the speakers. Next. Now let me explain to you the rules of our today's webinar. How do you ask questions? How to ask questions in this webinar. For participants who would like to ask, please ask through the Q&A column. It's exactly at the down bottom of your screen with format your name, underscore your address, or where do you live, or where do you from, underscore speaker, underscore your question. Untuk sesi tanya jawab, silahkan ditanyakan ke dalam bahasa Indonesia juga, bisa di dalam kolom Q&A di bawah layar rekan-rekan semua. And our second rules for our webinar regarding the presentations from our speakers and also certificates that you would like to receive, you have to fill in an attendance form, which will be given by the committee in the middle of the event. Also the materials. Don't forget to follow at Teknik Lingkungan Binawan Instagram and subscribe to their YouTube channel Environmental Engineering Binawan. Bagi peserta yang hadir hari ini dan ingin mendapatkan sertifikat dan juga materi dari pembicara, silahkan mengikuti acaranya terlebih dahulu. Panitia akan memberikan linknya di tengah-tengah acara. Jangan lupa untuk follow Instagram @Teknik Lingkungan Binawan dan subscribe to YouTube channel Environmental Engineering Binawan. Okay, next. Okay, so everyone, welcome. I am Hanna and I will be your moderator for today. How are you? I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is healthy wherever you are. It's such a delight to welcome and to our first series of international webinar from the Study Department of Environmental Engineering. Please participate. I would love, and also we would love to get to know all of you. And I hope that you will follow the event from the beginning until the end. Jadi kami berharap semuanya bisa stay dan mendengarkan presentasi yang luar biasa. Especially that yesterday we had an Earth Day. Earth Day is very important, right? And it's such a related and a very, how do you call it? It's close to our life kind of topic. I'm sure that you are going to learn something new today. Okay, without further ado of my warm welcome, let me give the first, our Chancellor, our respected Chancellor, Ibu Dr.Ir.Illah Sailah, for a keynote speech. Ibu Illah, have you joined us?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, Ibu Illah, the floor is yours. Silakan, Bu.
Thank you, Bu Hanna. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the honorable speakers, Mr. Foort Bustraan from Institutional Advisor USAID, Indonesian Urban Water Sanitation and Hygiene Plus. I read a lot of news about you, your project in Indonesia. So many projects you have done in Indonesia. Congratulations for that one. And Ibu Nadia Paramita ST MT, Head of Environmental Engineering Department, Binawan University, and Moderator, Ibu Hanna Nabila MPhil, as Director of Cooperation and Alumni Relation at Binawan University. I respect all of the participants who are attending this webinar with very challenging theme, environmental engineering goes around the world. Wow. With the topic of webinar series 1 is environmental sanitation, why does it matter? It's a very good title. My special respect also goes to organizer of this event, Environmental Engineering Program in Faculty of Science and Technology, which I I am proud of. First of all, let us say praise to Hadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who gives tons of love, thousands of favor to us until these days. We can have many activities in pandemic era. Thank you to him who always give us prosperity. Salawat and as well as greetings to our Prophet Muhammad, who gave us a role model well, and we should emulate. We are congratulating for International Earth Day on 22nd of April 2021. This is an international event celebrated around the world to pledge support for environmental protection. The year 2021 marks the 51st, if I am not mistaken, 51st anniversary of annual celebration. This year's theme for Earth Day is Restore Our Earth. Sanitation is one of the most important aspects of community well-being because it protects human health, extends lifespans, and is documented to provide benefits to the economy. Sanitation like toilets, mechanized wastewater treatment is currently deployed as a way to contain or treat human extract to protect human health and the environmental. The title of this seminar is very important to know about environmental sanitation. In Indonesia, sanitation is still a big problem actually related to health. About 24 million Indonesians still lack safe water and 38 million lack access to improve sanitation activities. With population of 264 million people in Indonesia, Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world, I think, and claims Southeast Asia largest economy. The capital city Jakarta continues to expand as an international hub. However, rural communities and residents of informal settlements in urban areas struggles in terms of pure health and infrastructure. For many households, water sources are distant, contaminated, very expensive, and household sanitation is unaffordable. COVID-19 pandemic navigate to endure this crisis with an added challenge. How to make better condition on living? The answer is in your thoughts as a future leader. The key points is collaboration. We may improve the condition in Indonesia with hand in hand between community, government, community, company, and academician, such as researcher, educator, and students who promote better sanitation and better environment. Let's learn from other countries. They have the same problem, different solution, different strategies and policies, but there must be having the same spirit to improve better living in the earth. By stating Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare that the first webinar series on environmental engineering goes around the world is formally open. Again, thank you for your coming to the speakers, especially Mr. Foort Bustraan and all participants. Have a good time to learn each other's, especially sharing from the special speakers. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Illah, for such an inspiring keynote. We sincerely hope that everyone everywhere is healthy and also protected by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And don't forget that today we are going to learn from each other. Remember, collaboration is key. Okay, so now I would like to introduce our first speaker of our today's webinar. It's Ibu Nadia. Ibu Nadia with amazing background of university from Diponegoro for her bachelor degree in environmental engineering program, followed and obtained her master degree in Bandung Institute of Technology in environmental engineering program as well. Ibu Nadia at the moment is the head of environmental engineering department of Binawan University. And she also has been active as a different member from different organizations, environmental related, and has published pretty much many researches also in the field related to the environment. As you can see from the screen, there are plenty of items. Bu Nadia is surely an expertise in her field. I'm sure that we are all looking forward to hearing her presentation. And Bu Nadia, before we begin, let me a kind remind to Ibu Illah, our Chancellor. Ibu, if you may stay until the part where we will give certificate to our speakers, it would be nice and an honor to have you again in this webinar, Ibu. Okay, now, without further ado again, let's start our today's webinar with our first speaker, Ibu Nadia Paramita. Ibu Nadia Paramita, you may start.
Yeah, hello, can you hear my voice clear? Ibu Hanna?
Yes, Bu.
Okay. Okay. May I start?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Mr. Saleh Alwani, Chairman of Binawan Foundation, Head of Binawan Foundation, Mr. Saleh Alwani, Head of Supervisor Board, Mr. Sharif Mahri, the Honorable Dr.Ir.Illah Sailah, Counselor of Binawan University, our special guest, Mr. Foort Bustraan, also distinguished university member and all the participants of this webinar. First of all, thank you for the God bless. So today we can meet in this special event. And also I would like to wish you a happy belated Earth Day to all of us. And on this lovely evening, I personally would like to thank for the opportunity that have been given to me to deliver a presentation about how importance of good environmental sanitation is and why you must know about it and how to do it. Next. Yeah, today only 68% of the world's population has access to basic sanitation, and only 39% of people have access to safely managed sanitation, which includes containment through safe collection and conveyance to treatment and use disposal. How about the condition in Indonesia? According to the UNICEF, nearly 25 million people in Indonesia don't use toilets. They defecate instead in fields, buses, forests, ditches, streets, canal, or other open spaces. Open defecation is not only an affront in dignity, it also poses huge risk to child and community health. Next. What is sanitation? According to the World Health Organization, sanitation is an effort that monitors several physical and environmental factors that affect humans, especially those that cause negative effect, damage physical development, health, and survival. To handle it, that is why we must know about environmental sanitation. Environmental sanitation is the control of environmental factors that form links in disease transmission. Subsets of this category are solid waste management, water and wastewater treatment, industrial waste treatment, and pollution control. Next. Who need good sanitation? I need it. You need it. Everybody need good sanitation. Even everything, not only human, but also animal, plants, river, land, the air we breathe, all the environment need good sanitation. Next. Why good sanitation is important? We can see it from some aspect. First, it is important for health. Why? Because good sanitation can prevent you from getting diarrhea and can also prevent from other serious diseases. And second, it can help the environment. When you manage your waste properly, you can help to protect water sources, the air, the soil. It also means that you don't have to smell the distinguished mess all around you, right? So by having good sanitation can also improve social development. When you keep yourself and your surrounding clean, you fall sick less often and are more likely to attend school, work regularly. If you're healthy, you can help build a strong society. And then the last one is getting a good economic investment. When you practice good sanitation, your family saves money on healthcare and treatment. So you can save your money or make any other investment. Next. What include in sanitation system? A full sanitation system is composed of the user of the system, the collection, transport, treatment, and of management of human excreta, grey water, stormwater, industrial wastewater, and solid waste. So, a good sanitation system can be achieved if we apply good waste management. And the simple way is by manage our waste start from home. First, we must manage our domestic waste, which is divided into black and gray water. Maybe some of you haven't familiar yet with the black and gray water. So black water is contains from feces, urine, and water from the flush toilet, while the black water is distinguished from the gray water, which come from the sink, bed, washing machine, on other kitchen appliances apart from the toilet. And gray water result from washing food, clothes, dishes, as well as from showering and bathing. And second is by manage our solid waste. Solid waste can be performed in aerobic and anaerobic condition. That means you must treat it according to their composition. And the last system is drainage system. Most drainage system in Indonesia still use open drain, and the drainage channel here is generally a system that not only flow rainwater or stormwater, but also domestic wastewater. For this reason, that's why we must prevent other waste from entering the channel. Next. How about the condition of sanitation system in Indonesia now? According to the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, more than 50% of Indonesia's population live in urban areas. Moreover, 12 million households do not have access to wastewater. 76.91% households that have access to wastewater system divided into two categories. 67.54% already has decent access, while the other 9.37% still have basic access. And how about the solid waste condition? Do you know how much solid waste we produce every day? More than 65 million tons of solid waste is produced every day in Indonesia. And where did they go? All these solid waste end up at the final disposal site, or we call it TPA. 90% of the final disposal site is operated on an open dumping basis. So this means they only throw the solid waste without any treatment. On the other hand, only 10% of the final disposal site use sanitary landfill to treat it. Next. So what happened without good sanitation? First, we have to know the aim of the sanitation system. The aim of the sanitation system is to protect human health by providing a clean environment that will stop the transmission of disease, especially through the fecal-oral route. When the sanitation is poor, it can cause many diseases which are easily transmitted in communities that have low level of sanitation, such as ascariasis, a type of intentional worm infection or helminthiosis, cholera, hepatitis, polio, cytomomasiasis, trachoma, and etc. Next. As I mentioned before, there are three sources of next. As I mentioned before, there are three sources of waste handling in sanitation system. First is water system that manages the domestic waste. Second, solid waste management. And the last one is drainage system that manages stormwater. But if we don't handle them properly, then it become harmful for human and also bad impact for the environment. As the picture here, we can see that mismanagement of sanitation system can cause not only disease, pollution, but also visual disturbance. Next. How the disease spread? So this is the cycles of how you get sick or suffer from the disease caused by the bad sanitation. First, when you dispose your domestic waste in any open environment, flies feed and lay eggs in it. And also, if you don't wash your hand with water and soap after pooping, germ remains on hands. Then flies land on the food, or if you touch food without with unwashed hand, germs are carried over. And then if you eat food with germs on, germs enter your body. So as the result, you will get sick. Next, that's why we have to prevent it. And how to prevent disease from spreading? First, use a clean toilet which have cover to prevent flies from landing on the waste. And then wash your hand after using toilet with safe water and soap. Use safe and clean bottle and buckets to carry or store the water in. And then cover food to keep flies from sitting on it. And last but not least, the important one is clean your environment to avoid bad smell and the breeding places for the flies and other factors. Next. How to manage good sanitation system? First, to manage drainage system, the easiest way is to stop throwing your waste into drainage system. And then you must control your drainage system or channel and clean it regularly so you can avoid clogging. Because if your drain is clogged, waste will accumulate and become a place for a flies and disease vector to develop. There is bad condition that cause because that is where the disease starts. For solid waste, we can manage our waste by applying the concept of a famous 3R, reuse, recycle, and reduce before you dispose your waste. And for food waste or organic waste, you can recycle it into compost. So at the end, there will be less waste to treat at the final disposal site. And it means less contact with the disease vectors. And the last one, when you live in the area that already supported with offsite system or sewerage, then you must dispose your wastewater to the offsite system or sewerage system, because that is the safest way to block the contact with the disease vector. But if your house is not connected with offsite system or you live in a rural area, you have to dispose black water using a septic tank, better using modified septic tank. Modified septic tank is a septic tank with a simple aerobic and or anaerobic treatment inside. So you can treat the wastewater much better and safer for the environment. Next, I think that's all my presentation. So remember, good environmental sanitation is possible. It's all start with you and me, and it's all start now. Thank you very much for your attention. Mrs. Hanna, I'm giving back to you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Nadia, for the presentation. Everyone simply put that we really have to wash our hands, that for sure. Regardless pandemic, it's also
that's right,
part of our daily sanitation. And also, Ibu, hygiene is part of faith. Kebersihan sebagian dari iman.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
Yeah, so I think it's something that is very close to our day because, you know, it's part of human activity, right? It's always good to know how to handle things better. Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Nadia. We definitely
You're
learned something
welcome.
new today. Okay, so now let me remind you again regarding some simple rules of the webinar. If you have any question, please put it in the Q&A column. It's under the screen. You can see that it's beside raise hand feature. We are going to read your questions, and for those of you who have the best questions, will get a chance to get a Doorprize from the committee, which we are going to announce towards the end of our webinar today. So don't go anywhere. And moreover, the attendance form, because I saw some of the participants have already asked about it, the committee will share it in the chat box. So pay attention and stay tuned, and don't forget to listen to our next speaker, our main speaker of our today's event, Pak Foort. Pak Foort has an impressive CV for what he has been doing throughout his life and his years working in Indonesia. So let me just read a glimpse of it. He is currently the technical and institutional advisor for the Indonesian Urban Water Sanitation and Hygiene Program, financed by USAID. It's called IUWASH Plus. He has over 30 years professional experience in water and sanitation programs in the Netherlands, in Africa, Cambodia, and Indonesia. And for the last 20 years, he worked in Indonesia on 4 large programs, supported first 5 years by German Development Aid, and since then by USAID. His current program is called IUWASH Plus, and it's providing WASH support over 35 cities across Indonesia. 35, wow, in close collaboration with the Ministry of Public Works and Housing and also Planning, which we know as Bappenas. While he moved to the Netherlands in 2001, he still regularly travels to Indonesia. So during the pandemic, Pak Foort has to return to the Netherlands, but he will still visit Indonesia regularly. Thank you, Pak, for that. You are always welcome here. And of course, last but not least, his education background is master's degree in water and sanitary engineering for developing countries from Silsoe College, United Kingdom, and BAc or bachelor degree honor in civil engineering from Alkmaar in the Netherlands. Okay, so I'm sure all of you cannot wait to hear Pak Foort's presentation, something that is very inspiring yet so close to our daily life. Hello, Pak Foort. Are you ready to present, Pak?
I hope so. Thank you, Bu Hanna. Thank you, Bu Illah. Welcome, Bu Illah, Bu Nadia, dan semua teman-teman di Indonesia. I think you can all hear me.
Terdengar, Pak. Can hear.
Of course.
Oke. Mohon maaf, teman-teman. Panitia minta saya bicara bahasa Inggris, not bahasa Indonesia. So I will continue in English. I have also not been to Indonesia since COVID. So that's why I think my English is a little bit better, but I will, in my presentation, maybe I will campur a bit, as I like the gado-gado. So even my bahasa I like as gado-gado. Let me start to share a simple presentation. If I'm running out of time, then I'm sure the moderator will warn me. Maybe let me mention first, this is a very good time, actually, what was mentioned before, to do this on the day after Earth Day, as sanitation is a very important topic. I've been working happily with USAID projects since 2006, before that with the Germans. And it shows that USAID is very committed to support water and sanitation activities in Indonesia across so many different provinces, which you will see later also. The current program, IUWASH Plus, will finish at the end of 21, but I heard that USAID is planning actually another program continuing on water and sanitation, including some solid waste, not only on wastewater and water supply, but including again the solid waste aspect, which Bu Nadia already mentioned is very important. I think, Bu Nadia, thank you very much for discussing so much and showing so much about why this topic is so important. I will follow on that and talk a bit more about the how. How so many activities are already starting in Indonesia. Actually, Indonesia is on the forefront of a lot of new ideas on wastewater management, especially wastewater. So maybe without further ado, I'll start with some of my slides. The first one you can see on the left topic here, I call it this Sandburger. I'm sorry you are still on the, you cannot yet eat, but just think about the Sandburger, yeah, after you buka puasa. What we know mostly from wastewater management, as some of you know, what we call the communal system, the Sanimas. You know them as Sanimas. So there's so many Sanimas, maybe 20,000, 30,000 Sanimas. That sounds like a big number and a solution to the problem of the lack of sanitation. However, Sanimas, even 20,000 systems, if everyone's system is used by 200 people, that is only 4 or 5 million people can benefit from Sanimas. From the urban population, maybe 4%, maybe 5%. It's still a very small number. Secondly, sewerage, like Bu Nadia mentioned also, more and more cities are getting sewerage, as you know, the large cities. But again, at the moment, there are maybe 15 cities in Indonesia, 15, who have sewerage system. The average is maybe 10,000 connections. In total, maybe 1 million people are connected to sewerage. So while it sounds nice, the numbers are still very small. By far, the biggest number is in the on-site system, the septic tanks. Now, kasihan for Indonesia, unfortunately, as you know, most of the septic tank, what people call septic tanks, are actually not septic tank, but tubluk. I think you all are very familiar with that word. I mean, even others, and even in other countries, they have actually, Indonesia is not the only one, of course, with this problem, that people often have tubluks, not septic tanks. Sometimes people don't know. They think they have a septic tank, but it actually is a tubluk. Sometimes people don't care. Maybe some of you also. Because if I would ask you, or people we have done, what do you think is the best septic tank? You know, I will not ask you now directly, but what a lot of people say and think, the best septic tank is actually the septic tank which is leaking, yang bocor. Because if you have a leaking septic tank, you never have to empty it. There is no cost for emptying it because it is leaking into the ground. That is actually one of the biggest problems that Bu Nadia was mentioning, the pollution for the environment and for the health. So what we are promoting is proper septic tanks and communal systems. But these systems, they do need management because it is the septic tank, when it is filled, it needs to be emptied. It needs to go to a treatment plant, the IPLT. So this is the meat of the Sandburger, the infrastructure. In order to manage this infrastructure, first you need to do additional activities for behavior change. You need to convince the people that this is important for them and why it is important for them. This is what they call perubahan perilaku masyarakat. And that is a whole social science for that, about promotion, behavior change, communication, marketing. Secondly, if you have the technology and you have the behavior change, people are willing, you create a market, then you need an operator who knows how to manage it, how to check the communal systems, how to do billing, how to do collection, how to make relations with customers and IT. And even that one is not enough. You would still need then the wrapping of the burger. So this is the wrapping of the burger is about the regulations, the law enforcement, financial systems. So in total, you can think of sanitation or wastewater management as a burger. Here is the meat, here is the roti on top, roti at the bottom, and this is the wrapper. If you think a bit like that, then you will more easily understand what wastewater management is about. You need all these aspects, otherwise the burger is not tasty. What Bu Nadia started to mention a bit, I'm sorry here for that one, that was the emptying part is important, then the transport and the treatment. First on the collection part. It is at the moment in Indonesia, it is on on-call basis. When your septic tank is full or your tubeluk or it is broken or filled, you call someone, they will come to your house, they will collect it, no measures for safety or health. Most of them have no license and you pay them directly. After they empty your septic tank, you pay them. And where do they go? If anyone can be sure and says after my house it goes to the PLT, I can say that 80%, maybe it's a bit better now. After 10 years pushing it, maybe it is 60 or 70%, but a lot of it is still going directly to the nearest sungai. Secondly, on the treatment side, there's a lot of IPLT's, installasi pengelolaan lumpur tinja, the sludge treatment plants. They have been built by government, but most of them are very far from the city, a bit too far for the trucks. Why they build them far from the city? Because far from the city, the land was very cheap. And the local government had to provide land. And then the central government could buy the IPLT. So they said, oh, far away from the city, we have land. Quite often, local governments in the past, they didn't really care much about sanitation. Also, of course, we know sanitation, it is not what they call a sexy topic. DPRD's, government officials, they normally don't want to invest too much into sanitation because it is below the ground, it is smelly, it is much better, you know, to build a new market or a new airport or new roads. But this is in the end much more important for the long term, for the health, for the hygiene, for the environment. Because they are built far from the city, they are not quite often, the existing ones are not used, and there is not so much money. And the designs are often too simple. So this is just one slide showing the current programs. Now, how can we improve this in so many cities? This is what we can do. What we have started with the program of IUWASH, working with the government of PUPR and Bappenas to set up a system what we called scheduled desludging, or in Indonesia, L2T2. Some of you may have heard about that. L2T2 means layanan lumpur tinja terjadwal. It will be shown later also. Layanan lumpur tinja terjadwal. This terjadwal is very important, the scheduled one. What does it mean? It means in the system, and this system is not a MIMPI. This is already implemented in many cities. I will show in a slide later where this is already going on, large scale or small scale. So this is not a MIMPI. Keep in mind, this is already happening, maybe in your own city. wherever you come from. What you need is you need a schedule, a jadwal. Then you need a truck which has a license, a sludge truck. You need a customer who is registered, men daftar. You need then mandatory desludging by regulation to make it wajib to desludge your house. And you need to have a proper septic treatment plant and the EPLT. All of this is possible if you can get this in one place. Once you have that, you can arrange a cost recovery tariff, covering all the direct operational costs. So all the costs for the collection can be, and the planning and the management can be covered by the tariff. Tariff means what you ask from the household. We are doing this already with many cities, and the average tariff, the tariff rata-rata for a household is about $1 per month, about 15,000 rupiah per month. If you ask the people if they want to pay 15,000 per month to be part of this schedule, to have regularly emptying, so many, 80–90% will say, yes, we like that, because no headache, no more smell, no more risk of bocor, no more malu when my septic tank is overflowing or my toilet is overflowing because the septic tank is full. And they understand this is better for the environment. The only thing what we need further from the government is the investment cost in the EPLT, the initial investment cost. And central government, especially PUPR, they already confirmed that whenever a city is ready with this, to set up a system of L2 T2, or we have the alternative, which is L2 T3, which is layanan lumpur tinja tidak terjadwal, if it is not yet scheduled, but you are setting up the system. Then the investment cost for the treatment plant can be paid by central government. Now, in order to set this up, there are certain procedures and aspects that we have to think about. And this is something where we have already a very good local team, and all of the local team are alumni from Technical Lingkungan Studies. So this is not only important for the country, for Indonesia, for the people, for the health, for the children. This is also important for you, especially if you are thinking about studying Technical Lingkungan or if you have already started. This program is only going to get bigger and bigger because more cities are signing up to have proper septic management. Because 85% of sanitation is on site. So this is a business for 85% of the households in Indonesia, which is more than 200 million. Imagine 200 million, if 5 people use a septic tank, that means 40 million septic tanks, if they all have to be emptied. A huge, huge business. And it needs more and more people who know how to plan, how to implement. So it's a huge market also. On the operation side, you need to think about how often you need to empty. The current septic tanks are designed for every 3-year emptying. Which area you want to start? You want to do the whole city or business district or daerah padat first, maybe, because that is where you often have more problems. You need to think about what infrastructure you need, how many trucks, where do you build the plants, laboratory, MIS systems. You need to set up the procedures, customer relations, billing systems, how to empty it, and how to monitor and evaluate, because you can constantly improve. It will never go perfect. You can always go better. Then you need to have the right regulations. You need to have proper septic tanks, no more tube looks, because they are polluting and they're really bad for the environment. And there are so many programs at the moment, supported by donors, by cities, by Ministry of Health, by Public Works, to provide credit or subsidies for building improved septic tank. Like Bu Nadia was saying, yeah, instead of the tube looks, we need to go to the improved septic tanks. Even PDPAL are promoting that in Jakarta also. You need to make it wajib for emptying, not depend anymore on the household to empty once every 10 years and prefer to take it to the river. mandatory periodic emptying, which goes to the IPLT. And you need to make regulations for the cost recovery tariff. On the finance, you need to have tariffs calculated which cover operating costs. And again, this is not a MIMPI, this is already happening. Anyone living in Solo and is connected to the PDM, they already know that they pay a cost recovery tariff for emptying their septic tank. And the poor people actually pay nothing because there is, as you know, maybe from anyone connected to PAM, there is a cross subsidy. The richer people, the bigger houses, the kaya, the mewa, the hotels, the usaha, they pay higher tariffs. And the lower houses, especially the poor, they pay for the dislodging, they pay nothing. As long as they are registered and allowed to empty every 3 years. They don't need to pay because it is covered by other households, by the hotels and the business. Capital cost by central government. Every year they provide funding for IPLTs, but at the moment only for cities who want to join this type of program. They don't want to waste their money as they did in the past, unfortunate. Building IPLTs for cities which were not ready. They had no system, they had no idea how to collect it. Now the government is working very closely with local governments, with operators, with donors to make sure that their money is not wasted, but used by the cities which are ready. You need to build up the institutions, the FSM operator, of course. It can be a PDM, Solo, Medan, Malang, Balikpapan. There's already more and more examples. It could be what they call an UPTD, Unit Pelaksana Teknik Daerah. Some very good examples are Bekasi, Bogor, Makassar, Gresik, Sidoarjo, Magelang, Jayapura. Even if we are working in Jayapura with setting up an UPTD to help. Then they work together with the private dislodgers. Instead of being in competition, they will get a contract from the operator. With a contract, they will get a list of the houses which are already registered, and they go and collect. By doing that, they can work much more efficient. They don't need to wait for someone to call them, but they already have a schedule. In Solo, one private operator can empty 8 houses in 1 day. By doing that, the cost can be much, much lower. And a lower cost means better for customers. It means customers prefer to join this program. It also means all the sludge collected by the private sector will go to the IPLT because it is registered. They only get paid after delivering to the IPLT. So no more open dumping in this system. Impossible. Support institutes can be working with universities, can be with other donors, can be with other cities. There is a twinning program with some associations between cities. Lastly, the customers. The customers need to be registered and they need to be classified. Like I said, the richer people, they cross-subsidize, same like the water supply, they can pay a bit more. Or you base it on the size of the building, or based on the size of the septic tank. Hotels have bigger septic tanks, so they can pay more. So these are the 7 aspects that you need to think about. It all sounds very complicated, but there is a sequence, there is a logic, and there are so many good examples already now in Indonesia. How to implement those aspects, you need to go in Langkah, in certain steps, to see if a city is ready to go. You need to see the potential, what are the principles, the concepts, and you need the blessing of the mayor. This is very, very crucial. As you know, sanitation, ILIMBA, is managed at city level. Yes, the central government is very important for promoting, financing, making national regulations, making the national framework. Very, very important. But the implementation and the decisions to improve ILIMBA in a city, ILIMBA perkotaan, is with a city, with the Pemda. And the Pemda is all managed by the mayor. If a mayor is supporting and he can push his dinas, the Bapeda, the PU, the Kesehatan, everything can work really fast. If the mayor is not interested, not much happens. I know mayors are elected, and I have not seen one. Actually, there are 1 or 2 mayors who actually talk about this. I think Solo last time, and I think it was Samarinda or another place, where actually the mayors were talking about Bekasi also. Bekasi mayor, very, very supportive of sanitation. He actually talks about it a lot. And I think when you elect your decision makers, you need to think about that, you know, how are they for the environment? How are they thinking about the future? And this is one of the topics that you could ask from your mayors. How serious are you in handling our limba for our city? Once the mayor is okay, you need to see where are the customers, and you need to start with the very rough operational plans. And then there are certain steps to go into more detail. Operator, regulations, finance, who are the partners, the Swasta, how many trucks do you need, the big or the small ones, you need other agreements. Then you start to promote to the masyarakat through the different media, through television, radio, talk shows, universities, so many ways to do the promotion. And then you launch. This is the sequence that you do. Now, of course, this is all going way too fast, you know, to understand in 15 minutes. I could take, you know, days. Actually, we have training programs talking about this, and they go on for a whole week. What we have on the next slide is just a small summary. Here on the left side, you can see saatnya sekarang. Lainan lumpur tinja terjadwal. This is a whole book and brochures and materials. This is all explaining what I have been talking about now in the last, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes. I hope not more, because I have a few more slides left. All the materials is here, and you can all see this on the, you can find this on the website from IUWASH Plus. And it is all in Bahasa Indonesia, and it is in Bahasa English also. Plus, there are already quite a lot of cities. There is census tools for septic tank, so that you can see with your handphone, with your mobile phone, you can check the condition of septic tanks of the people. How to calculate your tariff, what I was talking about. How to set up a database. What are the different SOP? SOP means standard operating procedures. All these things I talked about. Templates on regulations. If you go to a city and they do not have regulations yet, you can look for templates from another city and show them to your DPRD and say, look, here is an example of wajib for dislodging on a regular basis. Here is a template for a tariff. Here is a calculation for tariff. There is example contracts for private dislodgers, including Solo has very good example. Workshop visits, there's promotion materials, manuals and trainings and guidelines, also for the design of treatment plants. All of this is on the IUWASH Plus website, or you can contact them. But we have all the materials, the soft copies, and I think they even have some hard copies also, if you like them. This is a very colorful map, which I got some time ago from the ministry, showing the different programs. Now, this may be a little bit outdated. I think the numbers might have increased even a little bit more. But this shows already 70 cities where this LLTT or LLT3, L2T2, L2T3, ya, layanan lumpur tinja terjadwal, or layanan lumpur tinja tidak terjadwal, or belum terjadwal, but that doesn't sound so nice, so we say tidak, where this is already happening. The ones I can highlight, I know for sure, are the ones that we have been working, and the best ones are, especially if you live in there, you know, you could visit them and contact them, is Solo, Bekasi, Kota Bogor, Makassar, Medan, Deli Serdang, Gresik, Sidoarjo, Kota Kabupaten Magelang, Kota Kabupaten Malang, Jayapura. So there's quite a lot of cities that we know that we are working all already for with PDMs or UPTDs. I know Balikpapan is very good. It's one of the World Bank programs, and I know SNV is having a few very nice ones in Lampung, and I think Tasik Malaya. So this is already happening in so many places. So there are examples, but in many places it is still, in most of this, I would say honestly, it is still in the beginning, the embryo stage. It's about 6, 7 or 8 cities where it is already fully developed. And Solo is the best one. Solo, Bekasi, Medan, they are really the best ones. Malang, Kota Malang, they are the good examples for the future with the champions also. 2 quick slides on the lessons learned. I don't know how I'm doing with time, Ibu Hanna, but I think a few minutes. The commitment of the mayor is very crucial, as I mentioned before. Secondly, the regulations are they take time because you need to convince DPRD. And if you have any experience in working with government, to convince DPRD without having to pay a lot of money takes a lot of time. Either you have a lot of money or you have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of money, so for us it takes more time. And so you have to start early with promoting it and show by example. Take them to another city where they have already implemented this. A winning program is a very good. An exchange program is very helpful. Thirdly, we already know more than 80% of the household that we asked, they prefer this be above the on-call system. The collection efficiency by the scheduled collection is very, very important because it will keep the cost down. And lower cost is very important to get the buy-in from the masyarakat. Our experience is the most efficient billing system is with a water utility, a PDM, because a PDM already has customer, PDM already has a monthly water bill. So they only need to add something to the water bill. Bandung is doing some of that. Solo again is the good example. Medan is starting, Malang is starting. So that is the easiest one. Besides that, you have the UPTD, but they need to set up another billing system. So a good PDM is the best opportunity for improving on Ilimba also. And combining it with sewerage also then, like they do in Medan, for instance, and Solo. They manage sewerage and LLTT. The problem is the septic tank, the septic treatment plant, sorry. Once the system starts running, well, what you find is the EPLTs which have been built in the past very quickly become too small because they were designed for very small participations. When they were designed, the people who designed it were not really thinking about how many people can actually use this plant. So quite often they are too small or they are too old, they are not working anymore. So once a city is ready, they need to contact central government and they are ready then to plan for larger EPLTs. I have one slide, which is for the technical people. I will go over very quickly, but just as an, what we call appetizer, how to design a treatment plant. And as I mentioned before, we have a whole book about this. We have a whole book about the design. First, you need to receive it. Sorry, then there is the pre-treatment from the sludge. You need to receive it from the septic tank. Then you need to do some pre-treatment to take out the biggest rubbish and the fat, oil, and grease. Then you need to separate, because as you know, sludge has the solid and the liquid. The only way that you can do the proper treatment is if you separate it. And there are different ways to separate it. The simple one, the non-mechanical, or the mechanical, which is more efficient but costs a bit more money. After you separate it, you have these different ways to treat the liquid with lagoons and bioreactors and ponds and wetlands, which you have maybe seen in your cities, especially if you are technically in Kungan. You should know or you will learn about this if you are interested in this topic. And finally, the solid. For the solid, there is the drying bed, and then you can actually do the composting or the thermal drying, and for reuse, as Bu Nadia mentioned also. So part of this for the reuse, and if this is properly treated, you can put it back into the water system, into the rivers and the streams, so you're not wasting it. This is for landfill. If there is no treatment, you can use it for landfill. And this is for land application, where parks, things like that. And for reuse, of course, that is more for agriculture. So there's a lot of benefit on this side also. The last one is just to show some pictures. There's, this is an example of a pond and a drying bed, a sludge drying bed. The capacity is quite low. The cost for operating is quite low because you don't use so much electricity, especially if it is by gravity, you don't need electricity. The efficiency is quite low, but the skills of the people who manage it are also quite low. So this is what we would call a starting point. When you start in a city and you don't have many customers yet, your operator is not yet skilled, and you don't have much tariff yet. This is how you can start. If you go bigger and better, or bigger cities, like the Bekasi, the Jakarta, Medan, sorry, then you need higher you cannot keep on building more and more ponds. They just take too much space. So what you do is you put aerators to circulate the water and to mix it with oxygen. So you get from the anaerobic, you get to the aerobic, which is much more efficient. And then you put a press, what they call a belt press. These are locally made also. Locally made press to separate. And then it will be much easier, more efficient to do the drying. And there is, as I mentioned, there's training available, training syllabus and guides. And we have already done various trainings with PUPR, the Ministry of Public Work, and with USAID also. Thank you very much. Bu Nadia, Bu Nadia, Bu Hanna.
Okay, thank you, Pa, for that was amazing, Pa. Thank you so much for what you have done. Thank you for the presentation. Now I'm thinking a lot about, where it goes after the toilet. How do we handle it? Have we handled it better? Have we handled it appropriately? But amazing. So many things to be discussed. And for those of you who keep asking about the attendance form, the committee will share it really soon during the Q&A session. So don't go anywhere. Let's have a bit of discussion with Ibu Nadia as well before we are reading the questions from the participants who come to this afternoon or morning for Pak Foort. Pak Foort, you mentioned that there are champions, city champions in Indonesia. Why do you call them champion? What makes them champion in this matter?
What makes them champions is that they are motivated to make improvements. They are thinking outside the box. Thinking outside the box, it means do not accept the usual programs, because the usual programs we have already seen, they do not work. So thinking outside the box means think about what is the real problem and how can we get to a better solution. And then working with others, that is the first part of the champion, be able to think outside the box. Secondly, then to understand that you work with others to make the changes, not to try to do everything by yourself, but work with technical people, work with the politicians. You cannot, even though, some of us may not like the politicians, I'm not a politician also, but like it or not, we have to work with them because the politicians are the ones who decide on the money. They decide on the planning for the city for the future. So a good champion can work with all parties, with the technicians, with the finance people, with the politicians, and with central government. And has this goal outside the box for how to improve. That is, I think, the positive thinking. there's too many people who always think, even in the questions you can see and from the discussions, people are often getting stuck in the negative thinking. You know, it is always very easy to make a list of the problems. This is the problem, you know, the people, we have no money, the politicians, pollution. It's very easy to make a list of the problems. It's not so easy, you know, to make a list of practical solutions and to make the jalan, how to go there. Those are the champions, people who can do that, who understand the problems, come up with solutions and work with others.
Perfect. Thank you, Pa. Okay, so now I'm going to give the Q&A session to our participants this afternoon. We are going to call Rasolon Jatovo. I think Rasolon Jatovo Faniri has a question for Bu Nadia. Would you like to ask her directly? Untuk peserta atas nama Rasolon Jatovo Faniri Vanilo, itu cukup panjang. Bisa menanyakan langsung ke pembicara. Silahkan di-unmute, mungkin dari panitia. Oke. Silahkan, sudah diberikan akses. So you can ask your question directly to our speaker, Ibu Nadia. Halo. Oke, apakah bisa terdengar? Can you hear us? Okay, it seems he has left. Okay, let me read the question, Ibu Nadia. Ibu Nadia, the first question, could you explain in more detail the 3R concept?
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So I will try to answer maybe also for the second question, yeah, from Nadia about the 3R, reuse, recycle, and reduce. So when we discuss about sanitation, it's not only about waste. Hello? Oh, sorry. Oh yeah. Okay, thank you, Bu Hanna. I will try to answer the first, and also it can be answer for the second question as well. About the 3R, recycle, reuse, reduce. Actually, it's a very common principle in solid waste management. When we discuss about sanitation, it's not only about wastewater or drainage system, but also, as I mentioned before in the presentation, solid waste also take part to reach a good sanitation. When you handle and minimize your waste from the first place and from the beginning, is actually a really good start. When you start to set your mind to avoid something or to minimize something that might produce other waste, it means then you already make a good start by change your mindset and by reduce it from the start. And then after you reduce, try to reduce the possibility of waste production. Then second, you can start to reuse it. So the product or the side product, by reuse it, it means that you use it for almost some function as before, such as plastic, shopping bag, clothes. And then the last one, by using a little bit creativity, you can also give some arts. Then some simple process, you also can recycle a waste into something beneficially. And then this way, then we can minimize the production of total waste in our daily activity. So it means we minimize as a global. When everybody do the same way, it means all of you reduce the solid waste at the end, at the final disposal. So it will also beneficially for improving a good sanitation because we try to close the possibility for the vector and then the flies to get in touch with the waste, so it can we can block the possibility of spreading the disease. That's why 3R also can be applied to minimize waste, the concept. And then is it answering the question from Rasolon Jatavo?
I think it seems that he has a connection problem.
Yeah, I hope I can answer it. And the other one, apakah sanitasi ya sudah diterapkan di Indonesia dengan baik dan memberikan dampak terhadap lingkungan? Kemudian selanjutnya yang ketiga, pengolahan limbah rumah tangga dan sampah terdapat perbedaan terhadap sanitasi dan menjaga kebersihan lingkungan. Ya, can I answer in Indonesia?
Yes, Bu.
Ya, ya. Jadi terkait pengelolaan tadi ya, lingkungan tadi, menjaga kebersihan dengan apakah itu sama dengan meningkatkan kesehatan lingkungan dan sanitasi lingkungan, ya itu memang saling keterkaitan ya. It have related one and another, because if we can manage our environmental in a good way, and it also will improve the condition, and it means the sanitation system can run well. So it will at the end increase the quality of life and the environmental itself. Jadi saling keterkaitan. Kalau kita juga dari awal telah menerapkan prinsip kebersihan lingkungan, kesehatan lingkungan, pada akhirnya tentu itu akan juga berdampak pada hasilnya, begitu ya. Jadi kalau memang dalam keseharian kita sudah menerapkan menjaga limbah sampah dari mungkin membuangnya secara salah, kemudian air limbah juga dibiarkan begitu saja, kemudian kita punya septic tank tidak pernah didislodging, itu kemudian drainase juga kita buang sampah atau kita campur semua limbahnya, kita hanya alirkan lewat drainase dan ternyata terjadi sumbatan, dan di situ akan ada potensi untuk binatang-binatang atau vektor-vektor pembawa penyebar penyakit ini untuk berkembang biak di sana, dan itu artinya akan menurunkan kualitas lingkungan, kemudian juga akan menjadi faktor yang bisa mempengaruhi pada kualitas kesehatan di suatu masyarakat. Jadi itu ya, semoga menjawab untuk pertanyaan yang ketiga. Nah, kalau yang di Indonesia itu bagaimana? Saya rasa berbagai daerah, kota maupun desa, rural juga telah menerapkan pengelolaan lingkungan. Hanya saja memang masing-masing daerah, masing-masing kota punya kelebihan dan kekurangan masing-masing, sehingga itu yang harus terus kita mungkin dari pemerintah itu terus mengkampanyekan, kemudian dari pendidikan juga selalu menyampaikan, mensosialisasikan kepada masyarakat untuk pentingnya menjaga lingkungannya, menerapkan 3R, kemudian tidak membuang limbah domestiknya langsung ke lingkungan atau ke tanah, sehingga tentu saja kualitas lingkungan bisa ditingkatkan secara merata di semua daerah, dan tentunya ini harus didukung dengan penerapan peraturan pemerintah, khususnya masing-masing pemerintah daerah, untuk bisa memastikan bahwa pengelolaan lingkungan ini bisa berjalan dengan baik. Nah, mungkin kalau terkait L2T2 yang disampaikan Pak Foort, saya yakin ini juga sudah diterapkan dengan sangat baik di berbagai kota yang tadi juga disebutkan Pak Foort. Yang penting adalah niat dari kitanya, jadi ditumbuhkan kesadaran, pemahaman tentang menjaga lingkungan, kemudian pentingnya untuk melakukan desludging secara rutin, kemudian ya itu pengelola lingkungan yang telah disampaikan pada presentasi yang simple. Kita mulai dari diri kita mulai dari rumah kita. Mungkin kita nggak perlu jauh-jauh mikir gimana dengan di luar sana, tapi at least kita mulai dari diri kita sendiri, kita terapkan itu sehingga itu akan menularkan pada yang lain, sehingga makin banyak orang yang aware, makin cepat nih pencapaian atau peningkatan kualitas lingkungan. Mungkin selanjutnya pertanyaan untuk Pak Foort ya Bu Hanna.
Iya.
Saya rasa terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih banyak Ibu Nadia. Sebelum kita ke Pak Foort, before we go to you for the next 3 questions that the participants have asked, izinkan saya,
Go on.
Oke, thank you Pak. Izinkan saya menyapa. Let us say hi Pak, because it seems that all the participants they are coming from different part of Indonesia. Mungkin pesertanya ada yang mau share asalnya dari mana saja? From which cities are you in Indonesia right now? Because we know there is time difference, right? Tadi ada East Nusa Tenggara. Oke, mungkin ada lagi yang mau chat. Ada yang tadi dari Aceh sepertinya. Oke, where do you from? Oh, from Aceh. Pak, can you believe it, near Sabang. Pak Foort, have you been there? Have you been to Aceh?
Yes. I've been to Banda Aceh.
Okay, perfect. Mungkin yang lain partisipan East Timor, Pak. Have you been to East Timor? Have you ever been there?
East Timor, no. Ambon, yes. Jayapura, yes.
But East Timor, no.
Ternate,
Okay.
yes. But East Timor.
East Timor, different country, yeah.
Oh, actually, yes. I was there after independence.
Perfect.
With still under Germany, yes. With Perpamsi, I was working for, but not sanitation, only water supply.
Okay.
Support PDAM from East Timor.
Okay, the next participant is from Bengkulu. Pak Foort, have you been there? Let's challenge
Yes,
Pak
I've been
Foort.
to Bengkulu, yes, because it worked with Germany before.
Okay, but where have you never been? Which part of Indonesia?
I think I've been to all provinces. I've not been to Palembang. And I've not been to Palangkaraya.
Oh, Palembang, Palangkaraya, Semarang, you've been there. I think because you mentioned it also. There is someone from Malaysia. Yes, Padang. Okay, perfect. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We hope that you still enjoy our discussion of today. And let me say hi for those of you who are watching us from YouTube. Hello, YouTube. And so, let's move on to questions for Pak Foort. The first question, Pak, for you. Okay, someone would like to ask from let me see, what's the name? Gunawan Polytechnic? Oh, okay, Gunawan Polytechnic Negeri Lok Sumawe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he would like to know, Pak, how many meters that you need in 1 square meter of the desludging service? I think that the pond that you mentioned, how big it is in meters. Atau Gunawan, would you like to ask the question directly to Pak Foort? But I think Pak Foort. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Gunawan is here.
Yeah.
I think Gunawan would like to ask you, Pak.
That's okay.
Untuk Mas Gunawan?
Gunawan, I think I can start to answer maybe, and then because I understand the question. There is not a direct answer. I mean, if we would go back to the slide, you can see there are different technologies, different combinations of technologies, how to separate the sludge, and then how to do the treatment by the liquid and by the solid. It depends very much on how much solid you have, how many trucks are emptied every day, and also what is the composition of the sludge. That changes a little bit. So first you need to measure the quality of the sludge, and based on that you make the design. Once you have that, there are certain tables. In the book that I mentioned, in the Bahasa Indonesia and the English one, there is very clear explanation on how to design each component of the treatment plant, based on the composition, based on how many trucks you get every day. So there is not one fixed number. It depends on the technology, it depends on the amount and the quality of the sludge. If you have sludge more from hotels and restaurants, you have more oil and grease, as you can imagine, compared to a household. So that needs a slightly different size of the pond. The pond needs to be a little bit bigger. if you have more oil and grease, because it takes a little bit longer. So there is not just one figure, which is why actually you are studying it. If there was one figure, we didn't need people for technical lingkungan, but you need actually to study it a bit more to understand what type of system is really needed for this city.
Okay, thank you, Pak. The next question for Pak Foort. Let me read it. The question is from Lamin Renelua, Environmental Engineering Undip, from one of the university di Ponorogo, to Pak Foort. What do you make the use of an enviroseptic system?
Yeah, I actually saw that question and I already responded that I'm not sure what he means with that, but there are so many different types of septic tanks. I know PDPAL has the BioPAL, so I'm not sure what system he mentioned, but I think what he means is a septic tank which is already doing some primary treatment within the septic tank itself. Of course, and there are different types for that, yeah, and you have fiberglass, you have concrete types, depending on their size. Normally, whatever treatment you can do in a septic tank, of course, it is already good, because the more you can treat in the septic tank, the more easy it will be to transport the liquid to the EPLT, and the less work you have to do in the EPLT. The only point is that, you know, if you focus too much on this more sophisticated septic tanks, the problem I see is those septic tanks are normally more expensive, lebih mahal, and we are asking the household to pay for the septic tank. So if they have to pay 4 or 5 million instead of 2 million, it is going to be much more difficult to convince the people to improve their septic tank to a 4 or 5 or 6 million septic tank. It is more easy to convince them to get at least to go step by step. First get a simple septic tank, which is just containment. Maybe a 2 or a 3 million, yeah, you can get them for 3 million. So in general, because so many people still have tube look, I think we need to make the step first to let people make a proper septic tank first. And then if people have money and space, yeah, they can directly go to the next step. But if you focus too much on the sophisticated one, it will going to cost maybe too much money. I don't know if that is a little bit of a good enough answer.
Okay, let's ask the one who asked the question. I think she's here. Ibu Lamin Renelua, would you like maybe something that you would like to know from the question? Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, hello. It's Bapak.
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to speak to Mr. Banford. Yeah, the system uses biological methods in treating wastewater management. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I was saying, it uses a biological system in order to treat wastewater. And the system uses 100% recycled materials in order to reduce the electricity consumption, as well as reduce the use of BOD up to, let's say, 98%, which means it has a high durability and it's very efficient as well. It's a new system. That was why it's not much used in many countries, and its innovation is highly effective in areas that are less areas with special environmental value, or impossible to connect to municipal, let's say, manifold.
Yeah, I think I can see it now from your answer. I think, yes, to use recycled materials, I am always in favor of that, of course. The more, the better. And the 98% BOD reduction, that would be really good. So I think, yes, I would very much support it. The only thing is that I think, you know, like you said, it is a new technology. It has not been proven itself yet, maybe enough in Indonesia. So I think it would be really good to get more experience in some areas, maybe part of the city where you live. Maybe you can get some support through a university or through a donor or through the local government to provide some support to do some more testing, maybe 20, 30, 40 systems. I think they are not for the whole city. They are for small neighborhoods maybe, or for shared septic tanks. So if you can test a bit more on the smaller ones, because Indonesia for the large scale, like I mentioned with the figures, yeah, we need more than, we need like 40 million improved septic tanks in Indonesia in the next generation. So whatever new technology we can use, it will be good. But it doesn't mean that we should stop promoting what we do now, because it will take a longer time before we have the new ones working well. So I would do it, I would definitely continue with trying out new technologies, but at the same time, also continue pushing for the mainstream.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. So we are coming to the one last question for Pak Foort. The question is from Sandi Hariansyah. Sandi Hariansyah from Binawan University. Would you like to ask the question directly to Pak Foort? Okay, no? Maybe the committee can call him? Or I can read the question.
What was the question? Because I already answered one or two of the questions.
Okay, so the question is based on your explanation. In Indonesia, almost all part of this country has already domestic waste treatment system. Do all of them have the same success due to different in regions policies and so on, Pak? So what makes each region different in handling, you know, the dislodging or the system that you offered? What's the factor? What are the factors of those differences? And also about the people's understanding or knowledge about sanitation. Does it matter as well in those different regions?
Yeah, okay. And I think there was another question also related to that about the behavior of people. I think on my slide, I showed about 70 cities on paper. They are doing something already on LLTT, but keep in mind, this looks like maybe all across Indonesia, but these are 70 cities in Indonesia and regions, yeah, kota and kabupaten. And Indonesia in total, I think they have about 450 or something, kota and kabupaten. So even if this is already happening in 70 cities and kota and kabupaten, there is still about maybe 400 or 380 kota and kabupaten where this is not yet happening. So even though the map, it looked like this is already happening everywhere, actually most of the kota and kabupaten in Indonesia do not do anything yet on really managing air limbah. That is number one. So just to have this misconception, yeah, 70 is a big number, but Indonesia is a big country. So that is why, you know, most cities are not yet. So we need to do more promotion. Why some cities are doing much better than others, especially the ones that I mentioned, I think there are 3 points. You have this combination of what Bu Hanna mentioned before. In those cities, you have their champions. You do need a champion in a city, one who is willing to take the burden, who take the flag, yeah, who carry the flag. That is number one. Secondly, it is very helpful if you have, like I mentioned before, a wali kota or a bupati who is supporting, who is positive about improving sanitation. If you have a champion and if you have a wali kota or a bupati, then you can make progress. Then for the third one, it is very helpful if you have an institute to support you from PU or from a donor like IUWASH or SNV or UNICEF, to help you to make the first steps, to make those plans, to organize the meetings, to organize a twinning program to show by the exchange visit to bring you from one city to another city. The first cities which you now hear, Solo and Makassar and those places, about 4 or 5 years ago, we took them to the Philippines to show an example in the Philippines. And after that, it is like an eye-opener, including the mayor of Bekasi. He went there. After that, he told his dinas, I want this. You know, it doesn't matter, use APBD, I want to do this. He had a very good champion from the UPTD, and now Bekasi is one of the most forward-thinking cities in terms of managing of Air-Limbah. So you need a champion in the dinas, you need a mayor, and you need some support from outside. Then you can move.
Okay.
And the other question, sorry, there was another question on, how can you change the people because they're still throwing so much waste and the people don't care. Yes, I understand, and this is not only Indonesia, this is the whole world have that problem. But again, this is starting from the negative point. Yes, people behavior is not easy, but that's why this program of Air-Limbah, it is not just a technical program. This is the mistake that the government made in the past. They were thinking by building 160 IPLTs across Indonesia, we solved the problem of sanitation. But actually what they did not do is think about the people. Are they actually interested? Are they using it? So in our program, we also have a very big component on perubahan perilaku. You need to change the behavior of the people. You need to do good promotion to the people. You need to show by examples. That is why a mayor again is important. You need to think about how are they going to pay. So you need to think back about the Sandburger. The Sandburger is not just about the meat, yeah? It is about the changing of the behavior. It's about the regulations, the enforcement and the financing. You need all those elements to come together, then it can work.
Okay. Well understood. Wow, that's interesting. I know there are so many factors, that's for sure. And also the country is not small at all, Pak, compared to the Netherlands. Were you
someone was asking for the Netherlands actually, if we also use LLTT. I saw that question. Actually, we have, I think 95% is connected to sewerage, which is really nice. But of course, it took 2 or 3 generations. And I have to say, honestly, we actually pay quite a lot of money for our sewerage system.
Okay,
every year we pay, what is it, €300 or something per year, which is, you can calculate, yeah, that's quite a lot of money for maintaining the sewerage system.
Okay.
But
is it tax?
Some rural areas still have septic tanks. Some of my friends, they live in the rural areas on the farms, they still have septic tanks. And yes, they are regulated. They are part of a regular scheduled emptying system. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is it cut from tax or you pay differently, like us here, like in Indonesia?
You pay separately. You pay to a city.
Okay.
You pay to a city for your wastewater.
Okay, thank you for the
Actually,
insight.
in the next month, Bu Nadia is inviting Amsterdam, I think, to make presentations. So hopefully there will be more questions about Belanda in the next month.
Yeah, so everyone should come again to the next webinar.
If you want to learn more about the Belanda system, then join for next month.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so last questions which Bu Nadia is going to answer for our webinar today. It's question from Budi UI. Budi UI, you can ask the question directly to Ibu Nadia. Are you here with us? Budi UI? Okay. Yes, you may ask your question directly to Bu Nadia, Pak.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the chance for me. I'd like to say it in Bahasa. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay, Pak.
Ya, terima kasih untuk moderator atas kesempatannya. Sungguh berbahagia sekali saya bisa ikut di webinar pada siang hingga sore hari ini, dan kesempatan yang diberikan untuk memberikan pencerahan dari Ibu Nadia. Ya, Ibu Nadia, saya ingin bertanya ini bahwa di Indonesia ada beberapa program nasional terkait dengan sanitasi. Nah, khususnya ada PAMSIMAS di Indonesia. Itu menurut Bu Nadia, apakah program ini sudah berjalan dengan efektif, baik secara nasional ataupun secara lokal? Demikian pertanyaan dari saya. Mohon pencerahannya, Ibu Nadia. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Budi untuk pertanyaannya. Akan saya coba jawab, dan ini mungkin bisa juga menjawab beberapa pertanyaan yang ada di bawah ya, seperti dari Bu Vika, kemudian Pak Fikri yang terkait dengan bagaimana penerapannya gitu ya. Jadi sebenarnya PAMSIMAS ini mungkin sudah cukup populer lama, dan selain PAMSIMAS ini dia punya kakak saudara kembar namanya Sanimas gitu ya. Dan Sanimas ini lebih terkait ke air limbahnya, sedangkan PAMSIMAS ini khusus ke air bersih ya, pemenuhan terhadap air bersih, infrastruktur air bersih yang konsepnya itu meningkatkan pemberdayaan masyarakat, di mana awalnya pemerintah itu merancang agar masyarakat itu ikut terlibat, sehingga infrastruktur yang didirikan atau dibangun nantinya akan dapat berkelanjutan, di mana masyarakat itu terlibat secara penuh dari awal sampai akhir, sampai pengelolaannya di kemudian hari. Jadi memang sebagaimana yang disampaikan Pak Foort tadi ya, menjawab pertanyaan sebelumnya, itu memang banyak sekali faktor-faktor yang mempengaruhi suatu sistem itu dapat berlanjut. Dan dari penelitian yang saya lakukan sendiri, terdapat beberapa faktor yang mempengaruhi keberlanjutan, seperti teknologinya itu sendiri. Apakah teknologinya itu bisa diterima dengan mudah oleh masyarakat? Kemudian dari segi biaya sendiri, apakah masyarakat mampu, jadi affordable atau tidak untuk dibangun oleh masyarakat. Kemudian dari faktor keberlanjutan yang ketiga itu kelembagaannya juga, jadi apakah ada organisasi baik yang dari terkecil si tim pengelola PAMSIMAS maupun Sanimasnya ini sampai dari pemerintah sendiri mensupport program inikah, sejauh mana, kemudian regulasinya seperti apa. Jadi faktor-faktor ini yang cukup mempengaruhi keberlanjutan suatu sistem. Nah, PAMSIMAS dan Sanimas ini mungkin yang membedakan adalah faktor masyarakatnya sendiri, partisipasi dari masyarakat ini yang merupakan poin utama terhadap sistem ini, yang diharapkan dengan adanya partisipasi masyarakat ini bisa berkelanjutan. Nah, ini PAMSIMAS sendiri sudah banyak dilakukan ya di berbagai daerah. Nah, menurut penelitian yang kami lakukan juga, itu memang faktor penerimaan atau sosial budaya itu cukup besar perannya untuk suatu sistem itu diterapkan di suatu daerah, karena bisa saja dengan teknologi yang canggih itu mengolah dengan baik, tapi ternyata masyarakat nggak mampu gitu untuk mengelolanya, mengoperasikannya, bahkan nanti maintenance-nya nggak ada spare part mungkin. Nah, sehingga memang di sini harapannya di PAMSIMAS itu bisa dilakukan dan berkelanjutan. Nah, terkait pemerataannya sendiri, saya rasa sudah tersebar di hampir seluruh daerah di Indonesia. Hanya memang faktor keberlanjutannya ini yang tiap daerah itu berbeda-beda, ditentukan dari faktor-faktor tadi ya, keberlanjutan yang telah saya sebutkan itu yang mempengaruhi di masing-masing daerah. Jadi mungkin kami juga berharap ke depan kami bisa melakukan penelitian untuk daerah-daerah yang melakukan PAMSIMAS maupun Sanimas maupun L2T2 ini, mana saja sih yang bisa berkelanjutan atau apa sih trik-triknya itu yang ternyata sangat bermanfaat untuk diterapkan dan bisa merata di semua daerah. Kadang-kadang kita berpikir dengan ada regulasi itu sudah cukup gitu ya. Tapi ternyata enggak seperti itu juga. Mungkin orang daerah urban bisa diikat dengan regulasi, namun orang-orang yang tinggal di daerah itu biasanya mereka masih unsur perdaerahannya, budayanya itu juga masih sangat kuat, sehingga ternyata tidak hanya masalah teknis saja untuk orang environmental engineering, ya, banyak aspek non teknisnya yang juga berperan di sana. Mudah-mudahan itu sedikit bisa menjawab pertanyaan dari Pak Budi. Sebagai ini pertanyaan terakhir ya.
Ya, terima kasih Bu Nadia. Banyak
ya, sama-sama Pak.
Okay, thank you Bu Nadia, thank you Pak Budi for the question. So now we are coming to the part of the webinar that I'm sure most of you are waiting for. It is our Doorprize announcements. First of all, again, on behalf of the committee, we would like to say thank you for all the great questions that you have. Right now, our judges, who are our speakers, would decide which one deserves the our Doorprize today of GoPay saldo. You can get a chance of winning. Pak Foort, do you know GoPay, Pak? Have you used GoPay when you are living here, Pak? Yes. Okay. So yeah.
Nih, Bu Hanna.
Yeah. Well, hadiah. Well, hadiahnya sebut merek. What can I say? Okay. So now committee, are you ready to announce the name of the winner? Pak Foort, have you chosen?
Yeah, I choose one or two. One, yeah.
Yes.
Pak Foort two.
Pak Foort two. Okay, please.
I go one.
Okay, please coordinate it with the committee. And while waiting for Pak Foort to decide the winner and also with Bu Nadia, I hope that all of you are still here. I would like to remind you, dear participants, to fill in the attendance form. Jadi bagi peserta yang sudah hadir pada sore hari ini, mohon untuk dapat mengisi daftar hadir jika ingin mendapatkan sertifikat dan juga materi dari presenters kita atau speakers kita. Ya, mungkin linknya sudah di-share cukup sering oleh panitia. Oke. Okay?
I just sent something.
Already sent to you, Miss Hanna.
Oke. Oke, baik. So now I think the committee, are you ready to put the names on the slide? Have you received
I sent two names to you, Bu Hanna.
Okay, so I'm going to let the committee know. Maybe while we are waiting for the committee to prepare the announcement, Pak Foort, would you like to give any statement, and also with Bu Nadia, any statement or anything that would be great to summarize your presentation today?
No, I think this topic for Indonesia, of course, is very important. For the whole world, this is important. And Indonesia in the last 15 years, I think, or 10, let's say 10, they started to make very good progress. As you can see, in more and more cities. And Bu Nadia is a good example. Yeah, she used to be with PDPAL, and she could see PDPAL also starting to move forward very rapidly. And we have seen in other cities. I want to say also that this is not only now Indonesia, this is worldwide. There is a movement to improve sanitation, and especially the on-site sanitation, what I was talking about, because the majority of sanitation systems in the whole world, especially in the development world, is still on-site systems. And it is too expensive to push only sewerage, what the World Bank likes to do, because that is money, but it's too expensive for most people. So we really need to move into on-site systems, more efficient. This is, in English, it's called FSM, Fecal Sludge Management. And there is a big conference coming up next month, which was actually supposed to be held in Indonesia as an example and for the progress from Indonesia. It is called FSM 6. It is a 2-yearly conference, FSM 6. You can just look it up on the website, FSM 6, you will see it. And there will be a lot of presentations, international from the whole world, but also specifically from the experience from Indonesia. All these things we were talking about is explained there by operators, not by me. You will not hear me anymore. You will hear the real Indonesian operators who are doing it. People from Solo, Medan, from the government, from associations, from mayors, everyone. They will talk about the experience from Indonesia to the whole world. So Indonesia can be very proud of the progress that we are making. Of course, like we said, it's a huge country. We have to do so much more work. But we have champions, we have very positive stories, and we need to build on that. I think that is my sort of closing.
Okay, thank you, Pak. From Bu Nadia, please.
Yeah, I just make a simple statement like I did before in my slide. So a good sanitation system is very achievable. And so let's start now. Let's start from me and you. So let's act.
Okay, thank you so much for both speakers today. It's such a pleasure to hearing your presentation. And now let me announce the winners of our today's giveaway for this webinar. The first one is Lamin from Lok Sumawe, Sandi Hariansyah, and Budi UI. Okay, so is it clear for the committee? The committee will contact you. Again, the name of the winner is Pak Lamin from Lok Sumawe, Sandi Hariansyah, and also Budi UI. Make sure that you have filled the attendance form and the committee will contact you. Okay? Everyone noted? I hope the winners are still here, still with us this afternoon. You can say yay or okay in the chat box, just so that we know that you just heard the announcement. Okay, our next announcement before we are going to give certificate to the speakers is everyone don't forget to attend the next webinar series from Environmental Engineering Department, Binawan University, which will happen every month. The information is currently on your slide, on your screen. I mean, in a slide on your screen right now. So please do come. Remember, Pak Foort already mentioned next month we are going to talk more about sanitation in the Netherlands. We are going to travel the world talking about sanitation and how different it is from us in Indonesia and also from other people from different countries. Isn't it interesting? I would love to know more. Yeah, maybe we will have someone from Japan or Korea. We'll see. That's why you have to come and always check out the Instagram of Teknik Lingkungan Universitas Binawan. And also don't forget to follow Binawan University Instagram as well. Okay, so now I believe it's the time for the Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology of Binawan University to join us and to give certificate to our honorary speaker of today's webinar. Pak Rizky, are you here with us? It's time for you to give the certificate to our
Miss Hanna, I'm
speakers.
here.
Oke, silahkan Pak untuk penyerahan sertifikatnya. Okay, maybe from, would you like to say something? Yeah, I think it should be the speaker. Oke, secara simbolis Pak Rizky akan menyerahkan sertifikat. Okay.
Thank you for Mr. Foort Bustraan for your participation in international webinar Environmental Engineering goes around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, thank you. You are welcome.
Okay, and the next one? Okay, maybe take photo first for committee. Please take photo of the ceremony of the giving the certificate. Okay. Okay, good. I think it's done. Okay, the next one, certificate for Ibu Nadia Paramita.
Okay.
Silakan Pak Rizky.
Okay, thank you for Mrs. Nadia Paramita for your participation. For speaker, the title for international webinar Environmental Engineering goes around the world. Thank you.
Okay, please take photo. Okay, perfect. Okay, if Thank you, Pak Rizky. Thank you so much for
Welcome.
coming. Okay, so the next one, since we are already at the end of our webinar series, I also would like to remind you that there is a conference of fsm6.org. Yep, for those of you who are in the field or interested in the environmental issues and everything, I think the committee will also share it to your chat box. Please do attend. It's called fsm6.org. I believe this is something is quite grand, ya Pak ya, the event.
Yes.
Yep, the event is quite grand. Okay. As for the attendance form, mungkin panitia bisa di-share kembali. Masih ada yang menanyakan untuk form absensi. Okay. I believe that would be all for our webinar today. Thank you so much for staying with us since 2 p.m. Again, thank you for our respected speakers. Thank you so much for attendees or participants. Thank you from everyone from Binawan University, from the public, from other universities. We really hope that you learned something new, something useful is being taught today from our webinar. Don't forget to come to all the series which we have created and prepared for you next month and the month after. On behalf of everyone from Binawan University, I would like to apologize for any mistakes, for the flaws. I hope it it's not showing obviously. And I hope to see you again on the next webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. Okay.
Thank you.
For those of you who are still here,
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
I think we can
everyone.
have a photo session.
Thank you,
now.
Pak Foort. Thank you, Bu Hanna.
Thank you, Bu Nadia, for inviting.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Pak.
Oh, please stay. We are going to take photo. I believe the committee is inviting. Bagi peserta boleh dinyalakan kameranya untuk foto bersama sebelum meninggalkan. Masih ada banyak yang di sini. Silahkan dinyalakan kameranya untuk kita sesi foto bersama sebelum meninggalkan ruangan. Oke. Kepada panitia, bolehkah kami diberikan instruksi jika sudah siap untuk foto bersama? Oke, silakan dinyalakan kameranya, masih ditunggu. Yuk kita foto bersama. Oke. Oke, silakan kepada panitia juga mungkin bisa menyalakan kameranya dan memberikan aba-aba.
Halo guys.
Oke, silakan dinyalakan kameranya. Oke, sudah siap panitia untuk diambil fotonya? Oke. Mungkin saya hitung aja kali ya. Oke. Oh, masih ada yang ingin bergabung. Oke, please open your camera. Okay, so we are going to take photo. Everyone smile in 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me see the next. Okay, one more in 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming. It's been well. Okay, see you on the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next month. We go
Thank
around
you.
the world to Netherlands. Hope Pak Foort can join too.
Thank you.
Yeah, just give me the link. I will join as participant. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do not ask hard questions, Pak.
Yeah.
No.
And do not ask in Netherlands apa
No.
dates.
I will not ask any questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. See you next time.
Thank you teman-teman.
Hanna, Nabila.
Iya, sama-sama.
Ah?